Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of The Dark Horse by Craig Johnson, narrated by George Guidall. This book is copyrighted 2009 by Craig Johnson. This recording is copyrighted 2009 by Recorded Books. An interview with author Craig Johnson follows this program. This novel begins with a dictionary definition of the term dark horse. 1. A usually little-known contender, as a racehorse, that makes an unexpectedly good showing. B. An entrant in a contest judged unlikely to succeed. 2. A person who reveals little about himself or herself, especially someone who has unexpected talents or skills. And now, The Dark Horse.
Chapter 1. October 27th, 11 a.m. It was the third week of a high plains October, and an unseasonably extended summer had baked the color from the landscape and had turned the rusted girders of the old bridge a thinned-out, tired brown. I topped the hill and pulled the gunmetal Lincoln town car alongside the Pratt truss structure. There weren't very many of them in the Powder River country, and the few bridges that were left were being auctioned off to private owners for use on their ranches. I had grown up with these old camelback bridges, and was sorry to see the last of them go. My eyes were pulled to the town, balanced on the banks of the anemic river, and pressed hard against the scoria hills like the singing blade of a sharp knife. The water, the land, and the bridge were sepia-toned, depleted. I told Dog to stay in the back seat and got out of the car, slipped on my hat and an aged, burnished brown horsehide jacket, and walked across the dirt lot. I studied the dusty, wide-planked surface of the bridge, and between the cracks the few reflecting slivers of the Powder River below. The Wyoming Department of Transportation had condemned and in turn posted the bridge with bright yellow signs. It was to be removed next week. I could see the abutments that they had constructed off to the right, on which the new bridge would soon rest. A range telephone cooperative trailer sat by a power pole holding a junction box and a blue plastic service phone that gently tapped against the creosote-soaked wood like a forgotten telegraph, receiving no answer. "You lost?" I turned and looked at the old rancher who'd pulled up behind me, in an antiquated 55 GMC, the kind that has grill work frozen in perpetual sneer. The big truck was overladen with hay. I tipped my new hat back and gazed at him. "Nope, just looking around." He kicked at the accelerator and eased the Jimmy into a lopsided idle as he glanced at Dog, my late-model car, and the Montana plates. "You working methane?" "Nope." He squinted at me to let me know he wasn't sure if I was telling the truth, his eyes green as the algae that grows on the tops of horse troughs. "We got a lot of them gas and oil people out here, buying up people's mineral rights." He studied me, sizing me up by my new black hat, boots, and freshly pressed blue jeans. "Easy to get lost on these roads." "I'm not lost." I looked at his load, at the sun-dried, tiny blue flowers intermixed with the hay and the orange and cobalt twine that indicated it was weed-free. Idiot cubes, as we used to call the 70-pound bales. I stepped in closer and put a hand on the hay, rich with alfalfa. "Certified. You must have a pretty good stretch of bottomland around here somewhere." "Good enough, but with the drought this country's so dry you have to prime a man before he can spit." As if to emphasize his point, he spat a stream through the rust holes in the floorboard of the truck and onto the road, the spittle approaching the same tint as the river. I nodded as I glanced down at the stained pea gravel. "A buddy of mine says that these small bales are what broke up the family ranches." I looked back up at the cargo, 2.5 tons at least. "You buck a couple thousand of these in August, and your mind starts to wonder as to what the heck else you could be doing for a living." His eyes clinched my words. "You ranch?" "Nope, but I grew up on one." "Whereabouts?" I smiled, stopped
Sample complete. Ready to continue?